Yes, please come.
Sir, good morning, Shakti. Please sit down. So, Shakti, we would like to hear from you some brief introduction.
So my name is Shakti Dubey. I belong to Prayagraj district of Uttar Pradesh. I have done most of my schooling and graduation from Prayagraj itself. I did my bachelor's from University of Allahabad and then I've moved to Banaras Hindu University to complete my post-graduation in biochemistry, which I've completed in 2016 and 2018, and since then I've been preparing for the civil services examination.
So, Shakti, Prayagraj is one of the destinations in the Holy Triangle.
Yes.
So, whereas Ayodhya belongs to Ram and Varanasi is, I think, Shiva's destination. What is Allahabad? Prayagraj?
So Allahabad, the Prayagraj, which is basically prominent because it is located on bank of Triveni Sangam, because of which every year Magh Mela has been held, and then there is also the Kumbh fair, that is being Kumbh Mela, that is held at a particular interval of time. So it is one of the reasons for its prominence.
So, what is the faith behind Prayagraj? Any particular? They say that all gods, are from Prayagraj, or maybe some Samudra Manthan had happened.
Yes.
Is there any such perception in Prayagraj?
Yes, sir, there are two major reasons for it. First is that Prayag word means sacrifice. It has been named so because this was the first place that Brahma has chosen for the yajna that he conducted before he started the creation of the universe. So one significance is this. Second significance is it is considered that while Vishnu was transporting elixir in Kumbh, that is a pot, few drops fell in Triveni Sangam, which basically highlights its significance.
Tell me, Shakti, what are your views on the Uniform Civil Code, especially the implementability of live-in relations?
So if you look at the present state, globalization has engulfed the entire world. We are witnessing change in societal perspective that is there. With this, in the past few years, live-in relationships have become very prominent. So in my opinion, the recent change that has been brought in Uttarakhand with respect to registration of the live-in relationship, I think it is a welcome move because in past few years we have seen there have been increasing crimes, especially against the live-in partners. Second thing, the rights of the live-in partners are also not recognized. Specifically, the women are at the losing end. So I think bringing such step can be considered as a welcome move.
All right. You have done biochemistry.
Yes.
So, Shakti, I want to know from you, are we doing enough research and development in India compared to the Western countries and the US? They keep coming out with new drugs, even vaccine, and other things, and we depend on them. Pfizer and AstraZeneca. India did bring something, but is this research and development a regular happening in India? Because one is still to see a new drug coming from India.
So if we talk about the research and development atmosphere here, basically in past few decades, we see that it has been improving a lot. Since the government has actively started bringing reforms and changes in the research and development infrastructure. However, with respect to the West, there is still we are lacking behind. There are some of the important reasons, of course, can be attributed to the lack of budgetary support. The research institution basically they depend on funds from institutes like DST or CSIR or ICMR, etc. There is also not a proper equipments we can say or advanced technologies are not easily available in the labs, etc. And third thing is also there is lack of industry academia linkage that basically puts up a question on employability of the researchers at times. So I think in this respect, India needs to work a little bit to come at the forefront.
Shakti, your pol science has been your one of the optionals. I'm saying one because the other is international relations. So today I read Supreme Court reviewing whether electoral roll can be challenged in the courts, and the Supreme Court said no, we cannot look into it. Why is it so?
So because the matter of electoral rolls, it comes under the ambit of Election Commission of India, which itself is a constitutional body. So it has enough power to take actions on that and review it, etc. So in that case, I think taking it directly to the Supreme Court will be an extreme move and can hamper the election machinery or the entire process of election. So I think this could be one of the reasons.
Prime Minister yesterday made a statement. He says the UPI, Unified Payment Interface, is actually uniting partners with India. Why did he say this?
Because we have seen that in recent time, foreign nations have started accepting UPI payments from India. They have come up with that. Countries like Sri Lanka, Mauritius, etc., have also started accepting payments. So I think this is one of the reasons which he could have given this statement. In my opinion.
Good. Thank you, Shakti.
Shakti, we say, it is believe as a student of political science that Rajya Sabha is a permanent body, whereas Lok Sabha is not. Why it is said so?
So we call Rajya Sabha a permanent body because there is no fixed tenure for dissolution of the entire house. Rather, it is done in a batch basis that after every 2 years, 1/3 of the member will retire and new members will be elected to it. Whereas the Lok Sabha, it basically is dissolved after 5 years if a proper regular interval of election is being.
What are the different names by which Rajya Sabha is known? Do you think? Can you think of?
Vidhan Parishad is in the states like
Rajya Sabha. There are different names to this body.
Sorry, sir. I'm not
House
sure.
of Elders. There are other names also. Council of States. Have you heard about this?
Yes, sir, I have heard. Sorry, I couldn't recall it.
There are certain areas in our constitution which gives special power to Rajya Sabha vis-a-vis Lok Sabha. Can you think of those areas where the Rajya Sabha has a special power, more powers than Lok Sabha?
Yes, so there are few areas in which Rajya Sabha has been allocated more powers. First example, with respect to the All India services, I think that Rajya Sabha has more power where it can dictate the rules, etc. Second is also with respect to if it can also direct the Lok Sabha to or the Parliament to make rules on the state subject. If the states are presenting the bill that they want the centre to legislate on that matter, these are two things like I can recall this.
What are the emerging challenges to our federalism? There are new challenges which are emerging in last 75 years. There are so many challenges it emerged, and we could find some solutions. Can you think of what are the new emerging challenges to federalism?
So one of the most prominent has been because of the presence of governors in the state. So governor has become one of the reasons for conflict that takes place.
So what is the resolution? Why this? Whether the governor are performing a role which is not provided in the constitution, what could be the reason?
So we have seen basically this is at times the political contestation between the center and states, especially in the opposition rule states, have become a cause of concern. However, the governor has to perform within the ambit of constitution. It has been given certain powers. However, we have seen that at times government takes the advantage of loopholes. For example, when the time limit is not specifically mentioned to give the assent to the bill,
So how it has been fixed by Supreme Court? Any new developments that the Supreme Court has thought and given its ruling to fix this anomaly?
So Supreme Court has time and again repeatedly said that specifically with respect to the governor that he should not act as agent of center, rather must abide by the constitutional provisions. For example, if it is mentioned that the bill must be passed as soon as possible, which basically itself highlights the emergency. So I think these are certain times Supreme Court has directed.
What is this 10th schedule, Shakti?
So the 10th schedule basically deals with the anti-defection law. So it is basically to avoid the defection of the MPs.
What are the serious shortcomings in our anti-defection law? That the objective is to stop defection.
Yes, sir.
But to a great extent, it has been able to achieve. But what are the loopholes? This needs to be plugged.
So there are certain loopholes. For example, that the mergers and splits. There are two provisions. Some have been like, for example, the splits have been considered to be defection. Mergers have considered to be defection, and splits are not considered. So there is also, we are watching large scale defection is taking place where the party splits into two, and now the defection cannot be brought into the question. So I think this is one of the major provisions.
What is 9th schedule?
So the 9th schedule, it basically talks about putting certain acts and rules in this schedule, which is said to shield it from judicial review.
What was the last law that was put in the 9th schedule so as to make it beyond the reach of the judiciary? Anything?
Sir, though I'm not sure but I think the reservation bill from Tamil Nadu was set to be put there.
Actually, my last question to you. Many a times in our normal life also, and more so in the case of a civil servant, he faces a crisis of conflict between his personal view and his duties. In such situation, which one you would prefer? And have you come across such kind of a issue in your lifetime?
So, if small example I give as coming up,
But first is answer the principle, which one you would prefer.
so I think as a civil servant, we have a greater responsibility towards the state or the nation at large. So I think upholding the official duty should be the first and the prior responsibility of a civil servant, in my opinion.
Supposing you are compassionate in that situation, what? Executing your duty or following the rule of law will lead to injustice, then in that situation, what will do?
So at times, situation demands for the civil servants to overcome their own principles, like compassionate. For example, in case of protest, etc., where they are illegal, at times civil servants have to take decisions which are against their nature. However, that is required to ensure the law and order at large. So I think.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Shakti,
Yes.
Shakti, the nature of war in the world is changing, and it is changing very fast.
Yes.
Nowadays, many countries, including China and all those countries, they are resorting to fifth generation warfare. What is the fifth generation warfare?
So the fifth generation warfare, in my opinion, is basically with the warfare that they are resorting to with the advancement in technologies. For example, with the advent of digital technologies, there has been increase in the crime which cannot be easily intercepted or attacks that have been done. So I think this could be one of the major reasons for that.
Generally, people interpret that the distorting the worldview of the population of the target country.
Yes, sir.
That is one of the most important component of fifth generation warfare. You distort the worldview of a population of your target country. Say, for example, India is a target country for China. So you distort the worldview of its population through so many means. Could you tell me what are those means?
Sorry, sir, I need to read about
Okay. You have done something on organic farming or something like that.
Yes.
Now, Shakti, we are promoting organic farming. We are promoting natural farming.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes.
But at the same time, we are also promoting inorganic type of things, NPK and
Yes.
urea. So don't you think that we should now try to gradually reduce the NPK and urea and increase organic and natural? But we are not doing that. We are going
Yes, sir.
parallelly. We are going. Why it is so?
So basically, it is because of one of the major reasons location of India in the tropical subtropical belt. The climatic conditions that are here basically make the crops susceptible to the climate change. First thing. Second, the pest etc. that is there, that is a natural phenomenon. They will be there, and that cannot be completely tackled with the organic agriculture, the method of organic agriculture we follow just now. Second thing I can think is if we go for rapid transition directly from the conventional to the organic farming, this can bring huge shortage of production that can hamper the food security of the country.
Shakti, tell me something about biofertilizers. Why we are, I think there is something biofertilizers
Yes,
also.
yes.
Why we are not promoting much of the biofertilizers?
So basically, biofertilizers, these are solutions of live microbes that are put into the soil. Now the problem with the biofertilizer vis-a-vis the conventional fertilizer is, in conventional fertilizer, we are exactly aware about the composition of nutrients that are there, first thing. Second, they are very easily soluble and available for the plants. Whereas in biofertilizers, it takes time for them to decompose the given material and make the nutrients available. So because of that one reason, I think it...
Now, you have done something, you are interested or you have done something about waste management also.
Yes, sir.
Waste management. So, in case of waste management, if you could tell me what is one most important way to utilize the organic waste and one important way to utilize the inorganic waste. Just one.
So the organic waste can be used for the compost, etc. That can be used to generate compost, and that can be used in as
Good,
manure.
agreed. What about inorganic waste?
We talk
Most important and most efficient type of utilization of inorganic waste, including plastics.
So this can be one I can think is like recently there has been proposal to mix it with asphalt and use in the construction of roads, etc. That will increase the strength.
Okay. One question about again about your this thing, cyber warfare or this all these things. Recently, India, scientists in India, they are trying to develop a high altitude pseudo satellite unarmed aerial vehicle, solar powered.
Okay, sir.
Have you heard about it?
No, sir, I'm not aware of it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Shakti, your dissertation probably in post-PhD was on cancer therapy.
Yes, sir.
Are you aware of some recent development in cancer treatment?
Sir, recently one I can recall was there is the government has come up with the Cervavac vaccine that is there for the cervical cancer.
Something developed by about 1 week back by Tata Institute of Medical Science, this Tata Institute in Mumbai.
Sorry, sir, I'm not.
Okay, no problem. You worked in some organic farming project. Sir, tell me what are the organic challenges in organic farming? Can we adopt it on a wider scale at national level?
So if we talk about organic farming, it cannot be taken at a large scale as of now with the present level of development we have. Reason being is first is there is lack of awareness among the farmers about the long-term benefit of organic farming. Second thing that I can recall just now is that immediate increase in production is not there because we farmers here are using the high yielding varieties of seeds which are responsive more towards the fertilizers, etc. So this is one of the reasons. Third thing is there is also India being a tropical nation is having a the pests, etc. that are very prominent here. So controlling them through organic means is really not possible.
Shakti, this organic farming and natural farming are the same or there is some difference?
So there are some difference. In natural farming, there basically the method is exactly emulating the natural ecosystem. For example, their aeration techniques are there, perhaps some mulching, etc. is being taken forward, and no additional input is being there. However, in organic farming, we do resort to manures that are there. For example, the cow dung, manures, etc. that are being used on people. These are two different things. However, under the ambit of, say, the natural form of agriculture.
So, what is the best form of farming you would recommend to increase productivity of agriculture as well as to increase the farmer's income?
So I think organic farming can be one good step in this direction because in recent time we've seen there has been increasing demand of organic produce across the world. So, but however, there is a problem of marketing and supply chain of the organic farming. I think here we need to bring in the private sector so as to ensure proper value development of this organic produce so as to increase its marketing.
You also worked on this rainwater harvesting.
Yes,
Right. Good. This green building, one of the components in green buildings is rainwater harvesting. Can you tell me something more about green building other than rainwater harvesting? What exactly, I mean, some special features green building would have?
Sorry, sir, I'm not exactly
Okay,
aware.
no problem. Tell me, you see, Shakti, in Indian economy doing very well. I think in all the world, even multilateral bodies, IMF, World Bank, everybody is appreciating. But two problems still I think are quite serious in our Indian economy. One is unemployment and second is low per capita income.
Yes.
We rank very low in per capita income in the world ranking. How to address these two issues in Indian economy?
So in order to address the problem of unemployment, the government has come up with several features like the skill development programs have been there. First is this. Second, I think there is need to collaborate school and the industry level development so that the curriculum that is taken up in the school matches the employability requirement of the industry.
Yeah,
so this is one thing that can be
Low
done.
per capita income?
And for countering the low per capita income, I think one thing that can be there is increasing the capacity of the individual so that they are employable in high skill jobs. Because in India, we basically see there is a presence of low skill or unskilled laborers are at a very large scale. And the high skill, basically, they move forward to the foreign nations. There is a brain drain problem.
My last question, Shakti. What is the locational advantage of defense industry production corridor in UP?
So if you look at the advantages that this corridor will face, first that Uttar Pradesh has a good infrastructural capacity. In recent time, there has been development in form of expressways, etc., that has increased the connectivity. Second thing is availability of the labor because UP is one of the most populous district here, so it is also available. Second, third thing I can see recent times there has been focus on the industrial development, the MSME and the startup ecosystem has also been.
Thank you, Shakti. Thank you, sir. So, good morning, Shakti. So, I see that you were head of student debating committee. So, I will give you a topic. Uh, should uniform civil code be implemented in Uttar Pradesh? You have 1 minute.
For the topic or against?
Both.
So in UP, if we see, first problem we have is the huge population. Second thing, there is entrenched patriarchy. So I think women are already at a disadvantaged position at some levels, especially the rural women in the state. Bringing uniform civil code, I think, will ensure rights of the women that will be secure. It will also ensure that they are protected against several crimes like we see domestic violence is there or dowry harassment, etc.
You must speak against.
If you go, because UP is also a state that consists of numerous different religions that are there. It is basically a place that is there. Second thing, here the cultural significance is very dominant. People are still holding on to the past, the culture, etc. So imposing it on them at the first place will at times attract criticism from the people itself. So it has to be done in a very gradual manner after contacting with all the stakeholders.
Okay, Shakti, common man is very much afraid to go to police station. So, what steps should be taken to improve the image of the police in the eyes of public?
I think there is a first need to basically understand what is the reason for the poor image of police. I think till date, the police in India derives its power from the Colonial Act of Indian Police Act that was done way back in 1861. At that time, the police was meant to suppress the subject and not for the betterment or upliftment of the society at large. However, in recent times, this has changed, but police still works in that way. Two things can be done, in my opinion. First, there is a need to change the law at the first place in the reform. Second thing, I think, is a capacity building, especially of the constabulary force that is there, because that is the one which is closest to the citizens. So this needs to be done to make them more sensitive towards the people.
Now, coming to your optional of international relations. Okay. So, can you tell a few leadership initiatives taken by India in South Asia region?
Specifically in the South Asia, if I see, India has been pressing on the safety and security of the Indian Ocean region, first thing. Second, India has been actively helping the nations, for example, Sri Lanka during its economic crisis, for that matter, Afghanistan during the humanitarian crisis. So this is third has been India's pressing demand on climate change and initiatives like the International Solar Alliance, etc., to which it is also engaging with its partner nation, because most of them are also island countries which are at the worth of climate change. These three things.
Okay, tell me, Shakti, what will be the impact of elections in Pakistan on India?
So recently elections have been done and there have been worldwide criticism also of that. However, the change in the leadership can be more, can impact India's relation with Pakistan at large, because with the change in government, I think there will be a change in perspective. For example, there has been the Muslim League Party that has been there. During their tenure, we have seen that there have been better dialogues mechanism that has been taken place between India and Pakistan. So I think this could be, if they come into power, this could be one of the reason for better relations between the two nations. Some issues could be resolved at large.
I see that you like writing poems and quotes. So if you can recite any quote or poem of your choice.
So one quotation I would like to say. The cracks were the real weakness of those walls, and also cracks were the reason light entered within.
Can you explain?
This basically I wrote about a concept called broken but beautiful, that there are cracks that makes the wall weak. So we basically look at it with negative perception. But this also becomes one of the reasons why light is entering within, a positive side can be seen to it. So this is what I wrote.
Okay, Shakti, my last question. I would like to know the reason for you coming into civil services.
Basically, I have grown up in a family where my father is in police service already. So I've seen him work for the government service. Though initially I viewed it as just a job, but in later times, especially when I moved to my hostel, when I stayed in BHU in hostel, I saw certain things like, for example, presence of a police vehicle or the patrol vehicle in the campus made me feel very safe while I was going even after the late evening classes. This made me wonder how even small power can bring a change for somebody else and how public service at large are benefiting people. So this is how it attracted me towards the government services at the first place. Second thing, while choosing the career option, I consulted my parents. So they also suggested me and supported my decision. So this is how I.
So thank you, Shakti. I pass on to Chairman, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So, Shakti, we have asked you quite a few questions from your DAP, but in case you feel that something from your DAP has still not been asked or covered, you are free to suggest to me. I can ask one last question.
No, sir, I think almost everything from
Everything
state
has-
to city and father's profession to seventh entry, everything has been covered.
Everything has been touched. So, thank you, Shakti. We close our interview. You will proceed to the next room for some time. We'll call you again.
Thank you so much, sir.
Please sit down. So, Shakti, how did you do today?
I think it was better than my previous performance.
Previous performance means your previous mocks or previous
Yes,
UPSC?
sir. No, sir. Previous.
But this is your
mocks.
first UPSC?
Yes, sir.
Very-
First interview.
You are doing very, very well, Shakti. You are a very bright candidate. I do not know what improvement you may have decided that I will not do this in the next mock and you actually did not do it. What was that?
So first is I was giving very long answers in my previous mock. Second thing, I was not giving in point wise. I was just speaking in continuity, so answer would look like a paragraph. So I tried changing that today.
Yes. So, continuing with our assessment, you are very bright, good in all spheres. Your knowledge is very good in all areas. I would say variety of interests, and you have depth also of knowledge in those areas other than your own, biochemistry or for that matter, your own optionals. Uh, Regarding the issue of lengthy answers, I saw from your DAF that you have been a debater. So that input I could visualize, in your approach. Uh, just take care of this aspect that it doesn't become more like a conversation and less like a debate. That is the only. It was we were finding it very interesting, very energetic.
And so the pitch, like, is it loud when I'm
No, loud pitch was not loud. You were in your natural way a little faster than a normal, typical conversation. Are you getting my point? जब अपन कन्वर्स करते हैं तो शायद इतना तेज तेज नहीं बोलते, राइट? तो it's just a matter of delivery. You are perfect otherwise. I just shared something, you were not lengthy, but what you are doing is you are speaking fast, so you are able to cover a lot of things, within that time.
in quantity, yes, sir.
उसमें कोई बुराई नहीं है. You were not lengthy in the sense that you were not talking something which was not relevant. Right? So, when you have a lengthy thing, you can make it more structured instead of making it narrational. Your command on English is also very good, language is very good. You need not depend on your, this narrational thing so much that I will be able to complete the sentence very well. You can just pick up the points. It will help you to break that debate kind of जो टोन है उसमें भी ब्रेक लगेगा शक्ति, है ना? और कन्वर्सेशन जैसा लगेगा कि भाई फॉर एग्जांपल सर द रीजन व्हाई the prime minister has said about uniting partners with India, sir, number one, because India has in the past already done UPI with France and there are some more countries, and so lately just yesterday with Sri Lanka and Mauritius. So basically, it is a way to build diplomatic relation and help the neighborhood or other people. So it will be a good part in the foreign policy. This is how. So whichever answer, I'm just taking an example,
Yes,
but
yes,
make it more structured. Some of the questions you are not able to answer. There is nothing like that you need to be an encyclopedia. But overall, Shakti, you are very bright and you are typical in the role of a civil servant. I have seen you as the future collector of some district in whichever state you wish to go.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Just one aspect. The last question which was asked by Honorable Nalaki, वो बताते आपको but मुझे लगा कि शायद मैं भी थोड़ा ऐड कर दूं. You stretched your parents and police thing a little too far. उसको इतना मत elaborate करो. Sir, I was largely influenced by the profession of my father. Uh, However, and I realized that the career in public service is dash 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 dash.
Yes, sir.
You know, and the last sentence तो बिल्कुल नो नो है शक्ति कि मेरी मदर ने और उन्होंने भी endorse कर दिया. Please don't do that. और लास्ट क्वेश्चन जो मैंने आपसे पूछा है, if you have anything to, आप भले ही मना कर दीजिए. No sir, thank you. Don't have to repeat.
अच्छा नहीं नहीं वो I did
आपने ये भी पूछ लिया, सर ये भी कर लिया, मेरे फादर का प्रोफेशन भी हो गया. So ये मत. If you want that a question should be asked, don't take much time to tell sir. If you can ask me something more about biochemistry, or else, sir, thank you so much. Don't sum up for the panel की नहीं sir आपने सब पूछ लिया, ये भी पूछ लिया, ये भी. It looks a bit dictating also.
Yes, sir. No.
There's no need, sir. I am the boss. You don't need not bother. So, but Shakti, in all spheres, you are perfect. And let's hear other members.
बहुत बढ़िया आपका परफॉर्मेंस रहा. थोड़ा वॉइस मॉड्यूलेशन लाइए, आपका एक ही टोन फ्लैट है. दूसरा आपने जो इमर्जिंग चैलेंज ऑफ फेडरलिज्म में सिर्फ एक पॉइंट ही बोला गवर्नर का.
हाँ सर क्योंकि
फिस्कल फेडरलिज्म था.
हाँ सर वो एक्चुअली क्रॉस क्वेश्चन आ गया तो उसके बाद आई स्टॉप वरना
तो आप पॉइंट में बोलते तो आप बोल सकते थे, हमने तो रोका नहीं. आप एक ही पे इलॉबरेट कर रहे थे. और क्या है, जैसे ईडीसीबीआई की इश्यूज हैं और बहुत जो 4-5
जो बीएसएफ वाला
वो यूनिक इशू है. ये 3-4 चीजें. और दूसरा, जब भी आपका कर्तव्य से कोई भी आपकी पर्सनल चीज आएगी, कर्तव्य सबसे सुप्रीम है, ये सबके लिए है. मोस्ट ऑफ अस सिविल सर्वेंट, कर्तव्य से बड़ा कोई चीज नहीं है. कर्तव्य ही, ड्यूटी इज पैरामाउंट. योर ड्यूटी एंड योर ओनली एलिजेंस इज एलिजेंस टू रूल ऑफ लॉ, नथिंग मोर नथिंग लेस. अगर इतना एम्फेटिकली आप बोलते तो आपकी पर्सनालिटी और अच्छा. इस इशू में तो कॉम्प्रोमाइज ही नहीं है. ऑल द बेस्ट, डू इट.
Sakti, you are ready for interview. You've done very well. You have done full justice to all the questions. You answered quite well. Keep on reading your papers, newspapers, etc., etc. Some international analytical type of things like this. I asked about your fifth generational warfare, etc. So read a little bit more. You can read a little bit more because this is, the influencing the population through so many things. You talk a lot about toolkit, about cyber influencing and all those things are here. So this is one of the important after hybrid warfare and proxy warfare. Then this is next level actually, the latest one, including AI. AI is also a part of fifth generational warfare. So talk a little bit more about, and this Bengaluru has developed, they have made a successful operation. I mean, they have done this experiment on high altitude satellite for military surveillance along the borders. So it is one of the important which will be very, very useful for the Indian military in LOC and LAC. Okay, the solar powered machine. So just experiment has been successful. So in future, in coming years, it will be utilized. Rest, you are all fine. You have done very, very well. And you will do very well in your interview also, that I can tell you. All the best.
Shakti, I agree with whatever has been said. Just one question I would like to discuss with you again on this organic farming. First time your answer was very good. That organic farming has issue with the productivity. It cannot be adopted on a wider scale at one go because farmers are not aware, and then initial years production is not very high. Then I asked you again what type of agriculture you would recommend to increase the productivity as well as farmers' income. What there are different forms of agriculture, precision farming, smart farming, integrated farming. So again you came back to organic farming. And I just want to know whether you had some reason or it was just by default.
No, sir, it was by default.
That's why I'm not pointing out that it was wrong. I want to know your views on this again.
No, sir, actually, at that time I could only recall since that was going on in my mind, organic farming, so answer revolved around that only.
So you would like to revise that answer or the same answer you will stick to?
No, sir, I would like to revise that. Like as you mentioned, the precision agriculture could be one of the very best method where
Precision integrated farming is very good.
or mixed farming can be taken away livestock
Integrated
and
farming because it also talks of so many ancillary activities.
yes.
So like your agriculture, this allied activities.
Yes.
With farmers' income, that's why Rajasthan, you see, Rajasthan has got a problem of water stress as Marathwada and Dharwar region. But still, incidence of fortunately suicide for farmers is literally zero in Rajasthan. Only because they follow the integrated farming. There are some sources of income remain with them. They adopt dairy, they adopt other, right? So just think about it. That was my only. Otherwise, I agree, you are excellent candidate, very pleasing personality, in depth, your answers were very well structured. All the best.
तो शक्ति आपने काफ़ी अच्छा किया है. यू वर एबल टू कवर मोस्ट ऑफ द एरियाज, चाहे वो पॉलिटी हो, आईआर, इकोनॉमी हो, आपने सारे एरियाज में अच्छा किया है. ऑलरेडी वाइस सिविल सर्विस का आपको बता दिया है. उसमें पर्सनल एंगल मत लाइए, फादर का मत लाइए, प्लस उसमें आप अपने हॉस्टल के उसमें भी मत जाइए. वो आंसर काफ़ी लॉन्गिश हो गया था. स्ट्रेट अवे कम टू वर्चुअज ऑफ सिविल सर्विसेज.
Like I have got suggestion that आप ऐसे बोल रहे हो, आंसर बहुत मैकेनिकल लगता है.
तो लेट इट बी. तो आपको क्यों पर्सनल टच चाहिए? जरूरी थोड़ी वो लॉन्गिश हो रहा है बेकार में. एंड लेट इट बी मैकेनिकल. आपको अलग क्यों दिखना है? तो सिविल सर्विस के वर्चुअज बोलेंगे तो अच्छा रहेगा. ठीक है.
So, Shakti, looking into some of the observations, I can suggest you one thing more. Like in this organic thing, it could have been a slip of tongue, or maybe you didn't have enough time to think.
Yes.
Now, this generally also happens when you are a debater. You don't pause. So, I would suggest, if it is going to be beneficial to you, that before you start answering, especially those questions where you think that, "Thoda sa ruk jao, I need to think," give a pause. And pause can be of 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds without taking even permission also. We have seen on this chair your previous toppers also, doing so well in interview. These 3 ladies, the first 3 toppers, they were all here for the last. They would also, like a question is asked and then they just look into the शून्य में जैसे देखते हुए, as if you're not trying to frame your answer, and then, "Sir, my opinion is this." So maybe it can prevent you from coming to a hurried conclusion or maybe hurried answer. Are you getting it? That is one. Regarding the point that you said that, yes, it is correct. People keep saying, even the UPSC board may also tell you, "Arey, this is all routine, tell something else." Now, if they say that tell something else, then you say something, "Sir, I have been greatly influenced by my parents, by my father is minister." Now, basically, why the honorable member and we are of the opinion that you should stick to something which is related to your career. It's a personality test. It is not an entertainment program. कि कुछ और बताओ जरा मजेदार कोई चीज ऐसी. It may be even to provoke you. So you cannot come out with a very halka answer for your doing civil service. It's a matter of your career, your life. So a young person like you would think about career first. What is the best for me and your suitability. So you can coin a few more words Sir, I thought that I will be most compatible. I found civil service to be most compatible, uh, to my, suitable to my personality. You know? So I I looked into it, but make it look as if it's your decision. Because ultimately कल को मतलब एक आपके लिए नहीं, किसी से आप फादर से इन्फ्लुएंस हुए, फादर से आप इन्फ्लुएंस हुए, मान लीजिए ही बीन अ लॉयर, तो आप लॉ की तरफ जाती, होता जनरली यही है। लेकिन आपका पैशन लॉयर होते हुए भी नहीं, मैं तो सिविल सर्विस में जाऊंगी। सो इट इज योर ओन रिजोल्यूशन एंड योर करियर प्रॉस्पेक्ट्स एंड योर ब्राइटनेस। यू नो, बचपन से ही लोग इंडिकेट करने लगते हैं, अरे तुम तो आईएएस में जाना, because of your academic performance and this that. So ये सब बताने की जरूरत नहीं है, but keep it to your own decision more. And partly, see, it is a common denominator with all. All parents will support their wards and children to during the examination. ये it is so common, बल्कि वो ज़्यादा common है। पेरेंट्स का सपोर्ट करना तो ज़्यादा कॉमन है। कोई कहे कि मेरे पेरेंट्स, अच्छा, I can't believe, nobody will say that. So pick up an answer which is more weighted towards your own decision, your career, and your liking. And your liking is for public services. And your liking the public services, reaching out to larger number of people, diverse opportunities I will get, diverse challenges I would love to take. And so I want to get into something. So it is all focused on yourself. And my parents also, I was influenced by my parents' advice. That's good.
Yes.
Instead of going into the details,
Details.
any questions from your side, Shakti?
No, sir. Thank you so much.
So we have given you, Shakti, perfect 70%. Now we call it perfect because, when we find someone who is in the excellent category, we award 70%. You are that material. How have you done your main examination?
In my opinion, mains was really good because I did
Not good.
very good.
Very.
In my opinion, because I first thing I
So
did
this is the first time you must have taken the mains also.
Yes, sir.
So you could not qualify till mains.
Prelims in the first 3 attempts. This was my fourth attempt. I cleared the
So you
prelims.
have calculated your marks, कितने मिल जाएंगे, 1750 या
नहीं सिर्फ वो
जितने।
कैलकुलेट नहीं किया, पर ये है कि means there was I have clarity on most of the questions that were asked. There was nothing in which I was like trying to make up answer in the mains or
Very good.
something. So that was.
So Shakti, we are very hopeful, and this interview will pull up your marks, mind you. You are in the uppermost category, because we keep interviewing so many candidates every day and for so many months. So you have a distinct edge over many others. आप औरों से पुल कर सकती हो ज़्यादा इस एरिया में, क्योंकि यू डोंट मीट एवरीवन, यू डोंट नो देयर परफॉर्मेंसेस बिफोर हैंड। सो पूरी शक्ति लगा दीजिए अपने उसमें। ऑल द बेस्ट।
Thank you so much.
यूपीएससी 2024 के नतीजे घोषित हो गए हैं और इस वक्त हमारे साथ AIR रैंक 1 शक्ति